EDGAR, and the EU has the Regulatory Information Services, or RNS, as it is in the UK, open to everyone. Immediate publication is made by posting something online. Everyone can see it. It's all public. Transparency, transparency, transparency. Then the next point I had was just around, I guess, what I would call an institutional market. Most regulatory systems evolve from a retail-focused equity market. One of the easy wins I think the solicitor's paper identified was to try and replicate the types of systems which exist in North America and in Europe around professional investors, where you allow the sale of securities, and here obviously I'm more focused on debt securities. You allow the sale of securities in the US context under Rule 144A to qualified institutional buyers. In the EU, the similar or sort of similar exemption is around qualified investors and in part a professionals market defined by a high denomination in the securities. The quid pro quo of this type of investor market and institutional market is that this is really facilitating the investment of all this additional funding which has gone into the pension funds and is now being managed by professional asset managers. You have sophisticated institutions and investment analysts making decisions around whether or not they should be buying these securities. This is a market which doesn't necessarily require the same, it doesn't require the same degree of regulatory oversight as a retail market. The final point, I think, is just around the what we understand as the private placement market for debt in Nigeria. Again, one of the recommendations from the Law Society and Capital Markets Association paper was that the private placement market for debt really should be one which should not really have any involvement from the regulators at all. It doesn't have any involvement in the UK. It certainly doesn't have any involvement in the US. So my final slide, I was hoping to be pretty quick. Am I quick? Am I quick enough? I don't want to get told off, gosh. Is just around, again, just sort of slightly upbeat finish, if you like. We talk about capital markets, and I think what we really can take heart in is one of the real trends in the capital markets across the globe is the trend towards intermediation, where banks are not taking loans onto their balance sheet, but they're selling securities. And you can see there from the slide that the massive shift in the US from over the last 30 years, or 35 years now, six. And a similar type of trend is evident in the EU, and we will expect to see that continue at pace with the imposition of Basel III, which is making the holding of security, or holding of debt on a bank balance sheet more and more expensive. So what we see is, the capital markets becoming more and more important. Lots of opportunity in Nigeria, starting from a very low base, can make a lot of progress, particularly in the Naira market. That's, as Bismarck was saying, you really want your local investors investing in these securities, and if that starts happening, then that will bring in international money. That was all I had to say.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I really like him. Apart from the fact that we look alike, he is very, very short and sharp, straight to the point, like Mr. Bismarck. So, ladies and gentlemen, we quickly move into the interactive session. But I noticed three things when he was talking. The people who came from the UK with him were nodding and were agreeing. Yes, yes, because they heard him. Some people were reading the slide because they couldn't hear him. But those at the back just lost interest. One man was asking, when they clapped, one man asked the other person, wait till he talk, wait till he talk, wait till he talk. So ladies and gentlemen, can we give him another round of applause? Now to our moderators, our moderator is respected national icon, former chairman, Securities and Exchange Commission, Dr. Suleiman Ndanusa, PhD, officer of the Order of the Niger. A round of applause for him, please. Our discussants come from diverse backgrounds. First, let me welcome the Deputy Chairman, Senate Committee on Capital Market and Institutions, Senator Foster Ogola. A round of applause for him, please. Joining us is Acting Honorable Chairman, Chief Judge, Investment and Securities Tribunal, Barrister Saleh Habu Yerima. A round of applause for him, please. Please make it louder, make it louder. So that they know that when we are clapping next, we are rounding them off. Also join me in welcoming the Managing Director of Lotus Capital Limited, Mrs. Hajara Adeola. A round of applause for her, please. Is this the first session with a woman? Okay. Well, let's give we women a round of applause. I'd like to welcome Executive Director, Capital Market and Nigerian Stock Exchange, Mr. Haruna Jalo Waziri. A round of applause for him, please. Mr. Bismarck is looking at us like none of this concerns him. You lie, sir. It concerns you fully. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Bismarck Rawani, a round of applause for him. I'd like to also ask to join us, Head of Department Banking and Finance at the Nasarawa State University, Dr. Uche Uwaleke. A round of applause for him, please. Greatest Nigerian lecturer. I always tell parents, the school you want your children to go, the university you want your children to go to, first find out how they greet themselves in that school. If it's great Ife, great, it's a 4-year course. Great Akokite, great, it's 4-year course. But if it is greatest Baba, greatest Big B, greatest Bobo, 4-year course will be like 8 years. They'll be rioting all the time. Please join me in welcoming the Deputy Chairman, Senate Committee on Capital Market and Institutions, Senator Foster Ogola. A round of applause for him. And of course, he couldn't have come all the way from the UK. He's from the UK too. United Kingdom of the Niger Delta. And of course, he could not have come all the way from the UK, talk to us for 10 minutes and think his work is done. So permit me one more time to ask to join us, Mr. Andrew Roberts. A round of applause for him, please. So, ladies and gentlemen, I leave them in your hands, but Mr. Moderator, sir, I leave your team in your hands, and I know my church mind is telling me you won't spend more than 20 minutes. A round of applause for them, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, the MC. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me join my other colleagues in commending the National Assembly and of course the SEC, the Stock Exchange, for organizing this very important forum. What I will say quickly is that when Mr. President, in his first inaugural speech, said he was moving the Boko Haram Situation Room to Maiduguri, I was waiting to hear that